Hey, MOMnation, we are live with another Live and Learn, and we have one of our favorite guests. She's a repeat offender. She comes on our show now, what, 3 times? Is this 3 or is this 2, 3?
This is 2. We're scheduled for a third one though in the spring.
Oh,
I hope so.
Yes, we love having you. So yes, I will clear my schedule for this girl. So hello, Amy.
Hi, how are you? I missed you.
I know, ditto. I'm doing amazing. The last time I spoke to you, I don't know, it was a couple of months ago, and time flies, yet we really shouldn't let that much time go between speaking ever again.
You just have so many friends and people that are so interesting. I can't monopolize all of your time.
You're so sweet and polite. Thank you. So we have a cool topic today that I think is going to appeal to a lot of group members. So I'm really excited to dive into that. But before we dive into the topic, can you kind of give people a little feel for your background, what you do, and all of that jazz?
Yeah. My name's Amy, and I founded Southwest Lighting Company about five years and some change ago. So I've been a small business owner full time for over 5 years. And my background before that was in education and nonprofit, doing everything from school enrollment type stuff to fundraising, building volunteer teams, all sorts of stuff. I've worked in several nonprofits and schools and stuff. But yeah, I love being a small business owner and all of the challenges that come with that. And, the risks and the excitement. It's crazy.
It is. It's kind of like this.
Oh yeah.
Constantly.
Big time. And you know what? I really thought when I started that after the first year or two that it would get easier and things would level out. And you really just upgrade your challenges.
Well, that's just it, right? Because then you're like, okay, I'm cool. I've got this under control. Let's add something else to it. And then you're back in the same position again, over and over.
Yep.
I think they call that growth.
Does it have to be so stressful though? I mean, yeah. I just had several therapy sessions after not for a few months. And I'm like, every small business owner needs a good therapist.
Oh, yes, very much so. They need a lot of things. A maid also, and a cook also.
Right?
Speaking of building teams, you could build your own team for your household. This could pertain to that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Put that on the list, Amy. Put that on the to-do list. Build that team also.
I think it should be very culturally normal for everybody who works full time to get help with housekeeping. Like I
agree.
How do we manage? Like it's craziness.
It is. I believe in other countries, they have that. I don't know. I think I've heard that. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I'm saying it because I think I've heard it.
And it makes a lot of sense. And they do. That's very normal. All the places that they've lived, and they've lived in several countries, and that's just typical. And like, they don't even have a bunch of dogs running around like we do.
They don't even add to their family when they probably shouldn't. But it's true though. Like, how are we expected to mom it up, work full time, do the cooking? Okay, people are laughing at me right now because they're like, "Oh, haha, Katie, you don't cook." That's true. Because you can't do everything and do the whole household management. Like,
you're setting healthy boundaries there by saying, I'm taking this off my plate.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Funny you use plate. But anyway, so we need team building skills for all sorts of different reasons, right? Maybe we're a small business owner. Maybe we're entering into a larger business where team building is a thing. Maybe we're working with our church. Maybe we're working for a charity. Maybe we're working with other moms to develop a team for homeschooling. There's like so many, or maybe we're developing our own team for our household, like we just talked about. There's like so much of this in our lives, right? Depending on what you do. So talk to me a little bit about team building. Let's share some tips and tricks, some things that you've learned along the way, because you've had to, I mean, when you first started out, it was just you, right?
Yeah.
And then you've had to build a team for Southwest Leggings kind of along the way.
Yes, there are, I have 3 people that I work with almost daily. And then I've got some other contractors that I work with, maybe like monthly or maybe weekly. So yeah, we're a bit of a team now, which is amazing. Because it's just if you're that solopreneur, it is so hard because you can't delegate the stuff that you struggle with, and so, I had to identify really early the things that like really caused me the most anxiety and that I struggled with and that I was not able to really perform in, and get help for those as soon as I could. But it took about a year before I was able to get help with stuff. A little more than a year, probably about 14 months. And those 14 months were really hard.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this last time, like our culture is so individualistic and we're told you should make it on your own without anybody's help. And like, that's just not the reality.
No.
And when people have to, and they're put in positions where they have to, I just think that that's incredible. I mean, that level of strength. So I don't think very many people can do that for very long.
No, it's not sustainable. It really isn't. And it's important, I think, as a small business owner, like you said, to find those people that are good at the things that you're not good at, right? And then you join forces and growth is exponential. But the finding of the people part, yeah, that's a challenge. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So, I have found that no matter what I'm doing, this business, when I was doing recruiting for nonprofit volunteers, staffing, anything like that, the best way and really the only successful way I've ever found is through like connections, networking, mutual friends, that kind of thing. Because I'm sorry, but I've never had like a Facebook career request post ever come back with anybody usable, because it's just, that's not, you know what I mean? Like network, you're going to find people that, aren't necessarily just job hopping and looking for new things all the time. You're going to find, people that are a little more stable and are going to be more compatible.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's huge. The compatibility, because I mean, we're all different and we all do things in different ways. And we've had those people come into our lives, right? Maybe it'd be a friendship or whatever that we're developing. And it's like a hard no, right? Like their energy just does not mix with my energy. This relationship is stopping here. And then there's been those super harmonious, like, where have you been all my life? I feel like I've known you forever. We just groove. We just vibe. Like, then there's two different people, right? And it just depends. It just depends on your personality, who you are. Not everybody's going to like you. You're not going to get along with everybody. There's billions of people in the world. It's okay. So what kinds of things have you realized along the way to help you with, oh, red flag, relationship stops here, this is not going to work, or, oh my gosh, this is a good vibe. Like, this is really moving along the route that I want it to go.
Yeah, I've definitely had some experience with that. I had somebody that working for me that I kind of split with. And that was definitely a learning experience. And looking back, there was definitely red flags that I ignored.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, what I found is like the way that I relate to the people that I work with is really important to me, because, in my, career where I've done different jobs, for 15 years before I started doing this, like I definitely had issues with a lot of supervisors and a lot of teammates.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, looking at that, and like, obviously a lot of that's on my personality because, who's the common denominator, but looking at like how the ones that I loved and the ones that worked well, what did they do? And for me, having it be a very like equal, open communication where they know I'm never going to get upset with them or mad at them. There's never going to be judgment. There's never going to be retaliation or consequences or anything, because we're a team.
Mm-hmm.
I have to play this role and you have to play this role for this business to function, but I value your contributions and your opinion, and I think that you're brilliant. And if something goes wrong, I'm not going to get mad at you. We're going to fix it together. I feel like with that trust, like I can't function in a work environment where I'm scared my boss is going to get upset with me every time things don't go perfectly.
Right.
Because that's not healthy.
No.
Nobody likes that.
No.
Yeah. But, I had that employee where she kind of, left, And looking back, our relationship was not like, we had a lot of friendly conversations and stuff, but it was never an equal, open communication type thing, that was missing where I had it with the other girls. And so that was some really reiterated to me that, I've always valued that, but it's not like just something I like, it's something that's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
It's different, I think, when you're supervising in a workplace and you don't get to pick your own team and stuff. But when you're working remote with a team and you're all trying to build a business and everyone's making their own schedules, and it's just, you have to give people a lot of autonomy and respect.
Right. Right. And I've found too, and I'm kind of a little old to have learned this, and I wish I would have learned it a long time ago, but forcing things, especially forcing relationships, forcing vibe, forcing juju, that doesn't work at all. I have banged my head against the wall for years upon years upon years, trying to force, okay, this person came along and I really want them to be a part of my team because of XYZ, but the relationship's too forced and it just never works. Have you experienced that at all?
Oh yeah. I don't get along with a lot of people. So my team, we are all neurodiverse. We are all, none of us are typical at all. And to varying degrees, a couple of them just are your typical anxiety stuff. I am severe ADHD with some other tendency type stuff, which I didn't really figure out until late 20s. But when you're, just you're used to living your life the way you do, and suddenly you realize getting super overwhelmed in normal social situations maybe isn't super normal. Or having sensory issues where you can't use a certain set of sheets that you bought because it doesn't feel right. Like, maybe not all of that's super normal, but you live with it your whole life, you don't realize.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I run into a significant portion of people where something about the way that they speak or how aggressive their personality is or whatever, it's like a brain thing. Like, they make me very uncomfortable. I can't either, I can't read them because I definitely don't read other people's emotions as well as other people do. But, with like my main assistant, she's still in the process of getting diagnosed, but like, she's definitely not neurotypical at all. And we work so well together because we communicate the same way. We look at things the same way. It's easy. So
you have that honesty with each other though. And I feel like you are comfortable enough as, in your own skin as Amy to broadcast to the world just now what you did. And I think that that's awesome. And in order to have honesty with your team members, you've got to have some sort of comfort level with your thoughts and feelings and to be able to share those without that worry of judgment, right? Like you had said earlier. And I think that's super interesting and a really important point to hang on for just a few minutes, knowing what you're dealing with in terms of yourself. Like you had said, I'm the common denominator. I know that I have these things that I deal with on a daily basis. Being severely ADHD is interesting. My husband was just diagnosed actually with severe, there's no chart for him.
Yeah.
And
I scored 99%.
Okay. So you and me should get along great, have some lunch together. But it was a huge thing for him to realize, okay, here's what I'm dealing with and I'm okay. It's fine. Like, I'm comfortable in my skin. And now he can kind of work with his team members, knowing that he has that situation. And it just makes it a little bit easier for him. He also relates extremely well with another very off the charts ADHD team member that we have. And so they've kind of created this little bond together, which was really cool.
It's nice to talk to people whose brain works the same wavelength as yours. And I think it's so fascinating that we're all so different. And I'm so glad that, our community, our culture has gotten to the point where we're recognizing all of these things because, think how hard it was for decades, for people that were dealing with this and we're just told, you're lazy or you're not smart or whatever. So I found like I fit that mold of ADHD where my brain goes very fast. And I tend to seek out stress because it's a coping mechanism. So I would go through jobs, and after 18 months, of being top performer, best stats in the company, all of these, all these special teams and assignments to being like, I got to get out of here. Like this, I'm losing my mind. This is some combination of stressful and boring. And I have to go. I have to find something else. And I know that job hopping every 18 months is extremely common for women with ADHD. So that was a big clue. And that stress seeking is, I'm seeking stimulation for my brain because it's going faster than it should be. And it's doing 10 things at once instead of one. So, but yeah, even in my business now, like when we're having meetings, especially if I'm on like a consult call with an outside, an outside company, if it's not interesting to my brain or I'm having an off day, I have legitimately stopped somebody in the middle of a presentation and go, I'm really sorry, but I can't absorb anything you're giving me. I'm ADHD and my brain is off with this. I cannot track anything you're saying. We have to reschedule. Or can you give this to me in a different format? Because I can't listen to you anymore. Like I'm catching nothing you're saying. I'm sorry. Like I cannot make my brain pay attention to something that is boring to me. It doesn't work. I can try all I want, but that effort to force myself to pay attention will run out. And then there's nothing.
Well, right. And you're not absorbing it anyway. And so good on you for having honesty and for really respecting that person's time and what they're trying to do, right? Because that's huge respect. Hey, if you don't want to listen to what I have to say or not want to, but if you're unable to listen to what I have to say, like why have me say it? You know what I mean? So I think that's awesome. And it's really, really important just as individuals walking around this earth to know what you have going on in here. We've all gone through things and we have different things going on from our childhood, things that happen, whatever, that we're still running those programs.
And I think it's so common, and I found this with so many friends too, that when you're not neurotypical and you've been living with it for, 30 years, that but you're not diagnosed and you haven't educated yourself, you don't notice triggers, right? So then later, once you have gotten help and you're starting to learn how to care for yourself better, you're realizing, I'm starting to disassociate a whole bunch of times during this conversation. Or, I'm feeling really overstimulated by this environment. You start to notice those things and you're able to do something about it before you have a full-blown meltdown.
Yeah, giant.
Versus, when you're 25 or in college or whatever, and you're supposed to be at a house party or something, and instead you're like, freaking out at your friends, you're having a full-blown meltdown and they think that you're just being a person.
Right.
That it's not that you're just a jerk. It's that you're, way over your mental limit.
Yeah. Too overstimulated. Absolutely.
And catching those triggers is wonderfully helpful. So, yeah.
Well, and it's so giant for the relationship that you have with your team also, right?
Yeah. And the fact that the space that I have made, I mean, everybody makes their own hours and works when they want to, we're all pulling together towards goals. We all have autonomy over the areas that we handle, that when one of us is having a bad mental health day, you can, you don't have to work. You're off. No questions asked. Like
check out.
If you want to work Saturday instead of Tuesday, or just work, really fast on Wednesday or whatever, it's about the work getting done, not about you being there and doing what I say you're going to do at a certain time. Because that's silly for this kind of work.
Exactly. We're all adults here, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about, so we're talking more about right now about building teams from a business standpoint. What about developing deeper relationships with those team members and developing friendships and becoming closer? How do you feel about that Why or why not?
Yeah, I don't, you know what? That's an interesting question. I'm not sure where you hit the line where you shouldn't be. I mean, I'm sure that there's corporate environments where it's not appropriate, but like when we're a team where we're all, women, we're all, similar life stages, our kids have play dates together. Most of these women I was friends with first.
Mm-hmm.
Not all but one. We were friends first, and then they had some free time and wanted to help. And frankly, they'd probably help me with my business if I didn't pay them. I'm going to pay them because, I don't want them to become resentful, and because they deserve it, and because my business is structured where I can afford to, because otherwise I can't afford to be in business.
Right.
So, but we were friends first, so that's already there. But like even my girl that like we weren't friends first, like she sent me a TikTok about being a plant mom this morning. Like,
Aww.
and I think leading with fun first and relationship first, keeps us from feeling burned out and overworked.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you hear about that, right? Don't make friends with your employees or whatever. Don't build relationships with your employees. But if you're not bonding with them, like all of my team members, they feel like family to me, man. I would bend over backwards for those people.
And I don't, I mean, I've never experienced a work environment where that is the situation. I have always been close with everyone with people that I've worked with.
Mm-hmm.
When you're working at a school, it's very natural because, it's a really stressful environment and you need to support each other, and it's natural to socialize. You have a lot in common. But like, even when I was doing a corporate job, I was still hanging out outside of work. I'm sure that there are places where it's not appropriate and it comes back to bite you, but I certainly haven't found them personally yet.
Mm-hmm. So you're kind of lean toward, based on your experience and what's kind of happened with you, you kind of lean more toward building that bond. Yeah, the relationship matters here.
Yeah. And then, I think the only problem with that is when you run into a situation where there's an issue with someone's performance or something.
Yeah.
But because from the get-go, I've set up this environment where there is so much independence and personal responsibility and stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm having issues with this. Like, let's tackle it together. Or say I'm concerned that this isn't getting done. I don't feel like you're really doing your job.
Right.
I'm going to frame that as, hey, this isn't getting done. Do you just not have time to do this anymore? Do we need to pull back what you're handling? Because that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this needs to work for you, or it's not going to work for me.
Exactly.
Or it could be like, do we need to find a new way to tackle this area that's going to work better for you? We're going to problem solve together because I value them. And, when there comes to a point where it's not working anymore, that's going to be a conversation out of love. And I hope that they don't hate me at the end of it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like, I don't feel like this is working. And you're probably frustrated too. Like, do we need to look at just other options? I mean, do you want to go do other stuff? I mean, you don't have to work for me. Like, I want you to be happy, whether it's with me or elsewhere.
Right. Right. That's the biggest thing, right? Because if somebody's not happy, somebody's not fulfilled, somebody's feeling resentful, their work output isn't going to be what it should be. Anyway, it's really, really important to deal with that. And I think we lost that. I don't know if we ever had it. I'm only 42 years old. I've only been on this earth for this long, but I feel like being human is kind of lost, like, especially in larger companies, they're just all soldiers, numbers.
I think it's that factory mindset.
Yeah.
The Industrial Revolution model. My husband's a teacher, right? And so we were talking the other day about how so much of the way that school is structured is still coming straight from the Industrial Revolution and just trying to put out good factory workers.
Yep.
Exactly. Teaching how to sit down and be quiet and listen and follow instructions. Like, yep. That's not how modern life works. And it's not healthy for anybody. So, yeah. I got sidetracked. What was the beginning of that sentence?
The beginning of the sentence.
Oh, yeah, I started talking about education. Well,
well, we were talking about the being individuals, being humans, rather than just a number being looked at that way from your employer.
Yeah. Well, what I wanted to share with you was like, so, all my team is part-time, and the hours vary greatly and stuff. So I actually will help, encourage them to whatever they're doing for side hustles or for their own business or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to be blogging, if they want to be setting up, a service business, or if they want to be getting some sort of certificate, like I am going to cheer them on and try to bend our stuff around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if they want to be full in on my business and take more and more responsibility, we can help grow it together. Awesome.
That's great that you have that flexibility, but your focus is on the person. What do you want? It's not what I want. Because I'm a business owner too. And it's like, I'll get what I want. Like, I will, but I know that I will get there better, faster, happier, more fulfilled with a team of people that want to get there with me too. And people only feel like that when you care about them. And so I feel like as a business owner, that's probably the number one advice that I would ever give to anybody is care about them.
Yeah, when I first started, I think I was about a year in, and I was actually had a physical store space that I was renting where it was owned by a friend of mine. And she's like not even in business anymore. Like she's moved and gotten married and all these things. But she told me very early on, she said, when you do a vendor event, when you do a pop-up shop, that kind of thing, don't let anybody work it for you. Always be there yourself, because you can't trust anyone else to take care of your product the way that you would. And that really stuck with me. And I kept thinking about that. And I'm like, that kind of sucks. That idea that whatever hourly help you can hire isn't really going to care about your business as much. And like, obviously on some level, that's always going to be true. Mm-hmm. But I would rather build a team where they're bought in. They have partial ownership. They care about it. And part of the way I do that is that the areas that they manage, like for example, my wholesale manager gets commission on the wholesale that we sell.
Nice.
In addition to like hourly stuff for everything else that she does, because
so there's incentive.
Yeah, she owns that part. If she didn't do it, we wouldn't sell wholesale. Mm-hmm. That is totally her boat to drive.
Mm-hmm. And that's awesome. And she probably feels extremely fulfilled. She doesn't sound like you micromanage anybody. So she's not being micromanaged. And she's kind of, like you said, she's owning that part of it, which I feel it's important to humans. When they're just a number, it's just, I don't know, it doesn't work. I feel like it's so important for a human to feel heard, listened to, and valued, and have a little bit of responsibility also.
I think that's one of the biggest lessons we're seeing right now with the Great Resignation, this labor redistribution that we're experiencing as a country. Mm-hmm. People are finally like, I had a taste of working from home and having some independence. I'm not going to go back to a job that sucks out my soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of companies that topple because they're not willing to care for their employees on a better level.
Exactly right.
It's going to be really interesting.
It is. I know. It's very interesting to watch many things that are happening. So to speak to church groups, putting together teams for charities, putting together teams for, homeschool things, other things that are not necessarily business related. Do you have any tips and tricks for our mamas that are doing that?
Yeah. So what I found when I was recruiting for volunteer teams, right in college, actually, right out of college, I was doing internships with a very large church in California, like tens of thousands of people every weekend, huge. And I was in charge of scheduling all of the Bible study leaders and small group leaders and that kind of thing. And we needed, a lot of people. And I was handed a roster. So I started by going through that roster of people that were already volunteering and getting to know all of them. And, how did you get involved with it? How, what do you like about it? And just trying to really learn how it's in the past. And what I found is the best way to get people to volunteer like that on a regular basis is almost have like a funnel. We talk about sales funnels where you get people interested and then you narrow it down to actual buyers and you're educating and nurturing and stuff. The same thing when you want someone to volunteer, you have some sort of broad participant level and, general supporter type, like it might be people that attend a Bible study. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, well, hey, can you help set up snacks? Do you have time? Are you interested? Do you want to maybe help run tech? And then it becomes, do you want to lead a group? Because, you know what you're doing now and you've been here a while and you clearly have the ability to do this. Do you want to? And just making it rewarding at every level.
So similar, similar to business owning. I mean, really valuing people and valuing their strengths and steering toward the right position for their strengths. Because I mean, it totally sucks to be in a position that there's just a bunch of weaknesses for you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we know that.
I think, when you first get out of college, you start working jobs you're just terrible at, and you really have to learn that the hard way. Or maybe it was just me.
I think everybody goes through that.
Yeah, when you're in school, they're like, work on your weaknesses, get better in every area. And then you're kind of like, oh, this is a bad idea. So, but yeah, anytime that I've done any sort of nonprofit fundraising, like you can't just call down a phone book. You can't buy a list of leads and contact each person. Like nobody's going to respond to that.
Right. No.
Why? Why? So, and then one thing we would do too is like, as you're trying to grow a group, a nonprofit or whatever, you're asking the people involved to invite their contacts. You're reaching out to that next level of people, and you maybe have outreach events, like I don't know, anything from like a carnival to funny social media memes that can be shared. Stuff that's going to be viral, that's going to reach outside people, that are 1 to 2 degrees away from the people that are already involved. So then you're funneling new people into the bottom and raising in new people that are interested.
And they have a reason to be interested because they know the person that sort of attracted them to the scene, right? Or that brought them in, which I think is really important too. And when we're building our team, we're constantly, team building, we're constantly growing. So we constantly need, additional people to carry things out in certain areas of the Valley. And I agree with you 100%. It's definitely more vibe friendly. I don't know. Is that even a term, to communicate with people who know people who know people who know people, because there's like this chain, right? This line, like I know, like, and trust this person, Amy, I know her. And so anything that she brings to me or anything that she mentions to me, I'm not going to just throw on the back burner. Like I'm going to look at, because I know, like, and trust her, that kind of thing. Right.
Yeah. I think we've all had those experiences where somebody that you don't really know reaches out and is like, hey, you want to buy this stuff? Like,
no.
Nobody responds to that. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
We're a community. We're built into community. That's how everything operates. We see it in the MOMnation groups all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I need a landscaper. Hey, I need a new nail girl. Hey, I'm trying to figure this out. Or what school do you guys like for your kids that are like this? We live off of referrals.
Yeah.
Like we just do.
Yep.
Even before there was internet.
Absolutely. Networking has always been a thing. And word of mouth, right? We hear that all the time. Word of mouth. Well, where does the word of mouth come from? People that you know, love, and trust.
Yeah. And just the people that you've served well. My business is very word of mouth based. Our core customer base was built before I did, hardly any social media stuff, because when I made a quality product, and then when I sent it out, I sent a thank you note with every single order for the first 6 months, and I hand wrote all of them, and people loved it, and people talked about it, and people were, telling friends about it. Mm-hmm. People would share my business because I delighted them and I exceeded their expectations. And when somebody has an issue, like if somebody finds a defect in one of my products, like I ship out a replacement and usually a bonus item, like immediately.
Nice.
As fast as I can. And I hate when things are crazy and I fall short and it's not as fast as I'd like it to be, because that's just like, ugh. I want to be above their expectations. I want to have them feel cared for and like we're friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's super important. And it feels better, doesn't it? It feels better for me. And in my business, it feels better to serve somebody that I feel a connection with, and somebody that it appreciates me and appreciates the work that I do and the time that I put into it. And it's very reciprocal, right? Because then I too appreciate them and the time that they've put into it and the fact that they've come to me.
Yeah, I think the one thing we haven't really talked about yet is a really important piece of all of this, though. It's not just about the relationships and stuff. It's also about like the values and the messaging that you're espousing, the things that you care about that naturally come out through your business.
Mm.
That's going to resonate with people and attract people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's giant because they can connect with it or not.
Yeah, I'm going to a fundraiser on Saturday for a organization that supports foster care, families and that kind of thing. And when they share stuff, I repost it, and other people do too, because the messaging is so like resonates us with so much.
Mm-hmm.
That idea of caring for children that are in a tough spot in life.
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't respond to that, right? That's innately built in to what they're trying to accomplish. And a lot of times if you volunteer with them, like sometimes it's super, super fun and sometimes it's hard, but it's worth it because it's so rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the topic, or that's the word of the day, is rewarding, is fulfillment. Like I really do. And I really appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us here and sharing a lot. You shared a lot of insights, and I thank you for that. And thank you for being honest about yourself and about the things that you've gone through. I love that about you. I love that you're never afraid to be like, yeah, I did that. That wasn't such a good idea.
I know you're not going to sit there and be like, well, she's an idiot. Like,
absolutely not.
I have paid for so many lessons through, tears and sweat. Like, we might as well let as many people benefit from them as possible.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Because experience and knowledge is nothing unless it's shared. And that's how I feel. And that's kind of how I live day to day. And, it makes me happy to share what I know with others. And if they can grab a little nugget from what I've shared with them, that again, that I've gone through the sweat and tears for, then awesome. Then like I've done my job, I've arrived. I've done what I need to do here on this planet. And that's truly how I feel. So thank you for helping me do that.
Yeah, oh man. I got to send a list of questions over to you because I've been thinking about all these things to pick your brain about.
Ooh, let's do it.
Swap this around and have somebody, me or whoever, interview you about a bunch of stuff.
Let's do it. I'm writing it down right now. I'll tell Mom. Live and learn backwards.
Yeah, let's do it.
I just wrote it down. So since I wrote it down, that means it will be.
Yeah.
Life works. All right, girl. It was fantastic as usual. I'm so glad I got to see you.
So much. So nice to talk with you always. You're just such a positive and lovely person.
Oh, thanks. Ditto. I feel the same about you. Hey, tell the people where to connect with you if they want to connect with you.
Yeah, you guys, everyone can follow me on social media. It's just Southwest Lighting Company. And I post a lot of personal stuff on there too, just because that's how I run my business. Did you ever see that video where I was trying to shove my body into an extra small pair of leggings and I cut a head hole out and trying to wear it like a jacket?
Nope.
Ooh, that was embarrassing.
I need to see it. Is it up there?
Yeah. Oh, I got to repost it. That was pretty hilarious. But that kind of thing, if we're not having fun, what's the point? Mm-hmm. So, if you're selling pants with Christmas trees and dinosaurs all over them, you have to have fun with it.
You have to.
So yeah, I'm on we have a TikTok. We have, I just passed 1,000 followers on our TikTok actually.
Yay. So you can go live. Good for you.
Instagram, all those things. We're everywhere. So easy to find.
Awesome. Well, good to see you today. And thank you so much for all of your experience and knowledge that you just shared. You're amazing.
Okay. Should I log off? Should I leave? Should I leave you be?
We're out.
Or should I just shut up and you can do your thing?
No, you're good. All right, MOMnation. It's been real. It's been fun. We've learned a lot. Say goodbye to Amy. Bye.
Bye, guys. Mwah.
Bye.